Hi guys, welcome to another episode of AJAWI TV, where we discuss architectural and construction related topics. I'm AJAWI, and for today I'll be answering a few questions. Yes, today is also a question and answer day, right? And we'll be looking at a situation where you're building over an extended period of time. In particular, if you're living overseas and you're building over years, right? So you're no longer in a situation where you have all the money available to build your structure all at once and you want to build over an extended period of time. What do I think as it relates to that, right? So without any further ado, let's get into this video. Alright guys, so before we get into this video, I want you to click the like, click the subscribe, click the notification bell so that you can be notified whenever I post videos just like this one. Alright, if you do, you will be helping this channel by helping YouTube to pick up this channel as it relates to the algorithm, right? And your support is very important. Alright, so let's get into this video, into the meat of this matter. Alright, now I feel extremely happy this week, right? Why? I got a call from a client, right? She's buying a piece of property. She's living in Jamaica, right? But she's buying a piece of property and she was doing the right thing. She was doing her research on the property before she buy, right? And she happened to come across AJAWI Construction, right? Not via YouTube, but by my Facebook page. And the situation was that she was trying to get information from the lawyer, from the client in particular, to basically get information on the property. And their statement to her was, we cannot give you any information until you pay the deposit on the property. So I was like, what? What kind of property are you buying? That doesn't make any sense. So I insisted on her asking the lawyer to get information as it relates to the volume and folio of the property, right? She ended up asking the lawyer, and the lawyer gave her a volume and folio. We were there searching for that particular volume and folio. Couldn't find that property. That property does not exist, right? Then they gave us another volume and folio. That volume and folio led us to a different property, right? So I had a little consultation with her, and we basically pulled up the property to view it, and we found out that property, that the second volume and folio, was not for the right property. We went on to discuss why she needed to get the necessary information, right? And I gave her a little homework. Her homework was to go to get the volume and folio from the proper volume and folio from the lawyer, and in fact she should insist that she get a copy of the title so that she can see exactly which property they are selling, right? Then she should go to the tax office to get a copy of the tax certificate to basically verify if there are any outstanding taxes, and to also verify as another method to verify who the owner is. She did that, so she got the title from the owner, and she got the volume and folio and the valuation number, and actually went to the titles office and got a copy of the tax certificate. So she found out all the necessary information, and in fact, she found out that the volume and folio that they gave her first was for the property beside the one that she was buying, and the one that she actually got after was for the other property, and all was well with that particular property. So now she's looking at purchasing her property, right? So I'm extremely happy as it relates to that. I guess I'm a little bit selfish in that case, because whenever I help people along that line, it satisfies me. So I enjoy helping people in that sense. So I want to congratulate her. She knows herself. All right, so a few question and answer now. All right, so Vanessa Lewis asked a question. She asked if we're going to be doing any other development as it relates to the one that I had done before, or the one that I prepared the drawings for before. The client really determines that. We don't really do the development as it relates to the actual construction for that one. We will be doing the developments in the future, but as of right now, no. All right, J&M Recruitment, they asked a very valuable question. So they're interested in buying a property in St. Anne. However, the seller does not have a title for the property, and they're asking my advice if they should buy or not. I cannot give advice as it relates to you purchasing property. I can only give my opinion, right? Because I don't sell properties. I only give you guys tips that will help you to save money, and if I see where people are making mistakes, then I point it out so that you don't make those mistakes, right? Now, our property is a very expensive investment, right? So I'm gonna ask you this: would you buy a vehicle? Would you buy a car if the person doesn't have a title for that car, right? That's a real question, and the answer to that is no, right? I wouldn't buy a car that the person who is selling the car doesn't have a title for the car. I would ask them to go and get the title for the car. Same thing for land. If it is that I am going to buy, notice what I'm saying, I am going to buy, then what I would do is I would first get a lawyer, then I would ask my lawyer to investigate the property, or I would start to investigate the property to see who owns the property, right? Then, because sometimes people don't have title because they lost the title, right? So if it is that the property is in their name, but they just don't have a copy of the title, that's easy to fix. I showed you that in our last video, so you can go back to that video. I'll put a link to that video in this one. It's easy to fix in that situation where the property is registered to them and they actually own the property. Then you can actually get a copy of the title, which is not a problem. But yeah, I wouldn't necessarily be looking to buy property that somebody don't officially own, because I'm basically giving up millions of dollars for something that is not necessarily guaranteed. So how can you buy a property and it's not going to be in your name because there is no title for the property? You're just going to have a sales agreement, and if somebody comes along and say, hey, this was not that person's property to sell, so what are you doing on my property? Then you have no stake. You basically volunteered your money to the man. Understand? So get your lawyer, find out if there's actually a registered title for the property, or if the property is registered, and then from there you can move forward. But understand this: in the situation where you're going to do a building plan to submit to get an approval and to build your structure, you cannot do that because the parish council is going to request for proof of ownership, right? Proof of ownership being a copy of the title. how you going to do that? How you going to provide that? You understand? So it doesn't make any sense. I even go into that with that person who is selling that property, because I don't know if that property is actually their property. All right, Mr. Leonard. Mr. Leonard asked a very important question, and I'm going to delve a little bit into that particular question. Why? Because I think that this question is very valuable to everybody. And Mr. Leonard Beckford. So his question was that I mentioned in one of my videos that once you have your QS estimate, that one should put out the construction through bids, which is totally agreeable. That's what he's saying. However, you did not mention the flip side to that, in that suppose the landowner does not have the funds readily available to actually do the construction, right? And they're actually going to be put in the situation where they have to get the small man down the road if you're building in stages, right? So you're looking at a situation where you're doing your construction over an extended period of time. So he's asking, how do you manage such a situation so that you don't get robbed and you don't get a situation where you're getting poor work and you want to keep the cost down in such a situation? That's pretty simple. That's pretty simple in my eyes, right? It might not be simple in other people's eyes, because there's a lot of things that you must take into consideration. All right, this is what I would do, right? This is what I would do. I would get my building plan done, right? So I know that I cannot build all at once, but I know exactly where I'm supposed to end up at the end of the day. Boom, building plan done. I get an approval, right? I'm gonna go to my QS. I'm gonna discuss with my QS, say, hey, I am doing construction over an extended period of time. First of all, I had a budget before. Once I was doing the actual drawing, I explained to my architect or architectural technologist that I want a building that costs, say, $50 million, right? So my QS now knows my total budget. And I will look at him and say, hey, we calculated based on a square footage rate. So we know that we can stay within that budget, right? And I believe that over the next 3 years, I can, based on my salary, I can get $50 million. All right, so we assess what we're doing, we'll come up with a plan, right? So the QS now knows exactly what I want to do. I assess my income as well to see, okay, what am I going to cut out? What am I going to do? The parties, then when I'm gonna go, so that I can make sure, say, at the end of that period of time, I have the money, all right? So each year, I have X amount of money. Let's put that out the way now. I would do my QS, my quantity surveying in stages. You might be asking, what the hell are you talking about? What do you mean by that? This is what I mean. If I'm going to do, I know exactly what the end product is, right? And I have my building plan. I already have a QS who I work with, right? I'm going to say to my QS, say, hey, this year, 2020, January, from January to December, we're going to be doing foundation, right? Foundation up to superstructure, so floor level. I'm gonna say to my QS, say, hey, remember, we're doing a quantities for only that, from foundation up to floor level, everything, right? So we lay out the building. Because I'm not in Jamaica, I'm not going to live in the building right away. I'm just building in stages, right? So my QS now gives me a cost up to floor level, material and labor, right? And I build come up to floor level. So I put out a bid, or I invite a couple of people to come in and bid on this project based on the fact that I'm going up to floor level, and I am now in a position where I can select from that pool of people. So I know my budget and I know what the bids are as it relates to the multiple contractors. They know exactly what they're supposed to be building, which is up to floor level. Everybody know that, right? So I have my budget, we're good. We come up to floor level, right? Once we're done that, we're done construction up to floor level, and we're good. We stop construction, right? In the year 2021, I say, all right, may I go up with my walls, right? So we are go up with the walls. So I'm gonna say to my QS at that point, hey, do our quantities for just walls, and we're going up to belt beam level, and we're stopping right there, right? My QS does his quantities, ask some people to bid on it to carry it up to roof level or belt level, right? And I'm done this, so I'm stop. No finishes, nothing. We just carry the walls up to belt beam level, right? And stop there. So 2022, I go back to my QS and say, hey, I want to do some costing as it relates to putting on the roof on the structure and rendering. So I want to render all walls and I want to put on the roof. My QS does his quantities, right? So we're looking at windows and doors opening, we're looking at rendering everything, and we're looking at putting on the roof. And I'm doing quantities, and then I get some guys to bid on it, and you know, the one that is most appropriate to me I select, and then I go ahead with construction. So I'm gonna put on my roof and my render. My building rendered, my building have roof now, foundation good, I'm good. I stop construction this up, right? 2023, I decide say, hey, I go work on floor, and I go, as in finishing the floors, and I'm going to be looking at landscaping. I go put on my gate, I go work on my fence, as I have some old zinc fence I have out the road there for much years. So I enclose the property, right? And I go back to my QS and I tell my QS that, and my QS does his quantities. Him give me the bill of quantities. I call a couple of people who I've been working with over the period of time, and them give me them costs, and I select one of them and them go in and do the work. I inspect, I pay them go about them business, and building at a point, right? Tiles in, me wall rendered, my roof on, me not put in no fixtures, me not put in no door, me not put in no window. Why? Because me don't want me go overseas and come back and all of the window them broke out. All of the fixtures them when we put in them gone. All of the electrical sockets, the electrical outlets them gone. I just do the shell, right, up to a point, do the shell, lock up the building, and leave it there. So remember, you know, me I build with a plan, so I know exactly what me I build, and I know exactly how it's supposed to finish, how it's supposed to look, and no mistake now make, because me already have a plan with me I work with, and at each stage I'm inspecting. I'm not buying the excessive material for put down, right? I just buy what I need based on what my QS is giving me as it relates to the bill of quantities, right? I not run left myself because I not go over my budget. Anyway the construction stop as it relates to my budget, I decide there. I not overextend myself because I'm not ready for come back to Jamaica yet. I not build fast, I just take my little time, right? Once I put in that, right, 2023, I say, alright, I go back to Jamaica that area, you know. So my floor already going already. Everything already gone up. I just my shell there. So I say, yo, this year I go back to Jamaica and I go live, you know. And I want to put in windows, I want to put in door, I want to put in all of my fixtures them, I'm gonna render, I'm gonna put in, I'm gonna finish everything. Grass supposed to in, my gate supposed to go on, everything's supposed to finish at this point. So I tell my quantity surveyor, I say, hey, this is the plan. I come back to Jamaica that area, so I have to enclose the building and put on my nice trowel on or my paint, and I come in and live. See? So my QS does his quantities based on that. Then I just finish my building. By the time I finish my walk in my house, I'm done. Everybody gone after them yard, and me have my house. I'm gonna build it over an extended period of time. This is just my view on how I would do construction for myself. I don't tell you say you can do it that way there. I don't tell you say that is how you have to do it. But what I'm saying is that's what I would do if it was me. Right? Now, there's an assumption made in this question. The assumption was that I was referring him to companies. That's not the thing. I'm not referring you to any large companies. What I'm saying to you is reputable contractors. You have many size contractors out there who are reputable, right? And that means that when I say reputable, it doesn't equate to a big company, right? So you can have a small reputable contractor, right? In business is not as big, but he is reputable. He built up a reputation over the years, and he's registered probably with the master builders, or he's registered with the company's office, so that you can, follow this person, right? So that's what I'm saying to you. You have to be strategic in what you're doing, especially when you're overseas and you're not overseeing your project, right? You're not here to oversee your project. So you have to be strategic in what you're doing. So when you done your foundation, you can come back, come look on it, or you can send somebody to look on it to say, oh, them build exactly what is on the plan, and you're done. Make sense? You tell me if it makes sense, right? So I want you to click the like, click the share, click the subscribe, click the notification bell, and I want to say thank you for watching this video. All right, this was a pretty interesting question, and I like this question because it would help us to learn a lot. So there you go. You have my views as it relates to that. As a little update, I'm still trying to get master builders to give us an interview. They have acknowledged our request, and they're actually having it discussed in a meeting. So look out for that. It takes time. All of these things takes time, so bear with me. So thanks for watching, thanks for liking, thanks for sharing this video, and I'll see you next time.